Welcome to the Catalyst Life Coaching Podcast with John Kim and Noelle Cordeaux. If you're inspired to begin your own life coaching practice or just want to learn a little bit more about what it's all about, visit JRNI.co, that's JRNI.co, for more information. Your adventure awaits.
Hey guys, what's up? Today we are going to talk about the 3 pillars
for flourishing.
Yes, and by the way, flourishing, if you're a life coach, you take someone from kind of baseline to flourishing, right? Encouraging them to thrive, and that's what separates life coaching generally from therapy or a therapist who takes someone from suffering to baseline.
Absolutely. So as we're going through these tips, tools, and techniques today, and you're a life coach, you're thinking about becoming a life coach, you have been kind of following along and are interested in our Catalyst Life Coaching Intensive, this is a really great template for you to use when you're in session with a client, to look at these 3 different areas of someone's life and coach them towards satisfaction and flourishing.
I'm going to actually, as you're talking, I'm going to think about my own life and see if I have the 3 pistons pumping, because I definitely want to flourish.
You guys realize I am John's life coach every day, day in and day out.
We don't do these for you, we do these for me. So let's talk about the 3 pillars. The first pillar.
The first pillar, well, I want to back up. I want to back up and lay the foundation for it, right? Mm-hmm. So what is flourishing? Flourishing is when you experience meaning in life, is when you experience deep satisfaction in life, is when you experience contentment, when you're engaged, when you experience happiness. It's really living the way that you were meant to live, kind of hitting on all cylinders and experiencing a full life.
Yes, and the word that really just like glows like a neon sign and that I can relate to, and it really is the difference between the old John Kim and the new. And the old John Kim was a miserable fuck, the new one a little bit less, is the word meaning. I never had a life that felt meaningful. I was always chasing, always working my ass off and always dreaming and running towards something, but not making decisions that would produce more meaning in my life. Instead, I was chasing shiny things, and we'll get into this later, but I was trying to create, the fast happy, the processed happy, the house, the car, the image, like all that stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
And meaning today is very different. Meaning today is soul work. Meaning today is building a company with Noelle. Meaning today is helping people help with people. All everything that I'm doing today kind of hangs on meaning, and that's changed everything.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Meaning is everything. There's a huge difference between waking up in the morning and getting out of bed to go serve a false god and waking up in the morning and getting out of bed to go serve your higher purpose.
Yeah.
And that's meaning. So let's get into it. So the first pillar from a coaching perspective of one of the 3 categories you need to build in your life in order to have a full and flourishing life is achievement. Now, achievement is something that our society has tended to focus on as the predominant thing, right? That you need the degree, the car, the house, the 2.5 kids, the promotion. Achievement is important, but it has 2 realms, mental and physical. So in order to truly experience happiness and contentment, it's not the outcomes of achievement, it's the experience of achievement. And understanding that makes a world of difference.
Well, not only understanding it, but actually executing the experience, right? Because we can think about it all day, but until we actually experience the experience, you
don't know what you're missing, right?
Yeah, you just have ideas.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
Right.
So the experience of achievement is really pushing your brain and your body, it's mental and physical, to about 80%. So you are, we are all smart people, right? But very few of us really push ourselves intellectually.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have to be career driven. It can be learning a new skill. It can be reading a new book. It can be, hiking a trail you've never accomplished before. Stretch your brain and your body to about 80%.
Feed your brain, move your body. I love that. Okay,
Feed
so
your brain,
that
move
is
your body.
achievement.
Yeah.
And you know what, guys? Kind of stay away from that classic definition and society's definition of achievement, which is the corner office, you know, promotions, plaques on the wall, all of that stuff.
Or even body. I mean, like, let's get into it, you know, right? Like using your body well doesn't necessarily attach to an outcome of looking like
Abs.
a model.
Right. And I think a lot of people, they pursue fitness for the wrong reason, and it's short-lived because they're putting all their weight on the outcome or the results. And if you don't get a six-pack or you don't get whatever, then it's not about that, right? It's about movement. It's about connecting to yourself and feeling whole.
Feeling whole, mentally and physically.
Yeah.
So as a coach, if you're working with someone, it's great to ask questions to explore these two facets. Is somebody, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you in terms of your achievement affect?
Sure.
Yep. Let's move on. The next one is contentment. Contentment.
Define contentment.
So contentment is has a lot to do with the very simple things in life. Being grateful and aware of what it feels like to sleep in a safe place. A soft pillow, a hot cup of coffee, a beautiful sunset, talking with your grandmother, laughing with a friend, preparing healthy food for yourself.
Can you have contentment without mindfulness and gratitude?
Yes, you can, but mindfulness and gratitude are two of the techniques that you use to get to contentment.
Yeah.
So from a coaching perspective, you're working with somebody, they're like, oh, wow, I don't even know how to get there. Gratitude and mindfulness. Those are two ways to engage in contentment. And awareness, you know, I think awareness is truly the key to everything. When you open your eyes, quite literally, I'm talking about physically opening your eyes to start noticing pleasurable, wholesome, enjoyable things around you, you increase your capacity to see colors and detail.
Oh, interesting.
Right?
What are some things today in your life that bring you contentment, Noelle?
I love walking and running around outside. And so I do a lot of meditative walking where I'll walk and let thoughts come and go as they do, but I'll really force myself to focus on nature and the colors and the detail and the people.
I love that idea because a lot of people think meditation means sitting Indian style on the floor, right? And I love this active meditation is really interesting.
Yep, I do. I have a hard time sitting still and meditating, so I do it while I'm walking. How about you?
I just got a new motorcycle, and I just love that thing. It reminds me of, so when I was 14, I got a scooter, and I would rip around the little neighborhood in my scooter, and I would feel like I was flying. And I didn't have that feeling as an adult because I had to grow up and put my toys away until I got my motorcycle. And so now, riding the motorcycle, it's not about the motorcycle, it's connecting with that part of me, the 14-year-old John Kim, who felt so alive. And so that connection to me is therapeutic.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, is that feelings of aliveness are clues to you that you are engaging in each of these three pillars.
Yeah. Achievement,
contentment, and our third pillar, which is my personal favorite, which is what I have dedicated my life to studying, is hedonic. Hedonic.
This to me just sounds like sexual debauchery
on
an island.
Yes.
It sounds like Greek, like back in the day when they had who was the anyway.
We'll do another podcast on Greek history next week. It'll be awesome.
It reeks of Las Vegas.
Yeah, no. So hedonic is a really interesting term because it means pleasure.
Yes.
It's pleasure seeking, right? And if you look at the history of at least the United States, we came from a Puritan society where pleasure was shit on, and you're not supposed to engage in pleasure because it's sinful. So I think because of that history, we tend to associate the word hedonic with sex and sexuality.
Yeah.
It's not just sex. It's not just sexuality. Sure, sexual pleasure is a big part of hedonics, but it's also dancing, laughing, singing, running, being with your friends, anything, art, engaging in pursuits that bring you pure bliss and joy, playing games. As you described your motorcycle, feeling alive. You went out with your friends last night and acted like idiots.
Yes, I did.
Yes, that's hedonic.
A mandate is a mandate, meaning we get a lot from our guy friends, or if or your girlfriends or whatever, that you don't get from your intimate partner, and you have a room to be just being appropriate and silly and whatever it is that you guys do, and that is a form of
hedonic pleasure.
Yeah, and even though we didn't have sex.
Right.
Right.
Right. The diner people would have been very upset around you. Had that been going on.
We don't have that kind of relationship, but it's dopamine. It's anything that makes you feel alive, right? But here's the thing about hedonics. A lot of people, well, most people, including myself, there's guilt behind it, right? So like I just got this motorcycle, and I remember when I drove it home, it stopped me from enjoying it because I feel guilty that I bought myself a new toy, and it was an expensive motorcycle, and there's payments involved and insurance and all this, and so there's guilt and shame because we're so performance based, right? We're so hard on ourselves that you give yourself a trip, you give yourself a dress, you buy yourself something, and don't allow yourself to enjoy it because you feel so guilty.
Absolutely. Right? But if you're really getting into it, hedonics, pleasure seeking, is 1/3 of what you need to do as a human in order to give yourself the template to fully flourish in life. That's a huge, huge chunk.
So how do you do that? How do you is it affirmations? How do you convince yourself that it's okay to do things that are going to produce, dopamine and hedonics and things that are going to make you happy?
Well, I think it's all about balance and harmony.
Right.
And when you're working from a coaching perspective, you want to be working with your clients to make sure that there's a balance of all three, of achievement, contentment, and hedonics. Because if you're going overboard in the hedonic realm, it's going to be really hard to also focus on mental and physical achievement.
Yeah, if someone's like, look, I'm going to put my savings, I'm going to drop it on some crazy fantasy trip, that's a little different. That may not help your life when you come back.
Right. Likewise, if you're focusing only on achievement, you're probably not going to have a lot of room in your life for contentment and hedonics. And so, looking at all three of these things and saying, am I living my days in balance? Am I living my weeks in balance? Am I giving attention to each of these realms? Am I engaging in play? And I think hedonics is one of the areas where coaching is really useful because adults don't know how to have fun.
Yeah, and listen, this is a real person. Her name's Leah, and she says, I'm a mom, a single mom of 2 in college, so anytime I do anything or buy myself something, I feel extremely guilty. And this, I think, is so common, especially for parents who have spent most of their lives providing for their children, or, like this idea of self-sacrifice, or doing things for other people, and then when they're gone, or when you decide to make the switch where I need to start, doing things for me, it's extremely difficult.
Totally. And getting in touch with what brings you joy, what brings you pleasure, that's
the beginning, right?
That's awareness.
First, what does make you happy?
That's awareness,
right.
And it's noticing what that feeling feels like, that feeling of being alive, and when that feeling hits, it's like it jogs a memory for us. You're right, of when we're little. What are some memories that you have of times in your life when you felt incredibly alive?
Oh my gosh, I could tell you. So breakdancing, I would get lost, just, practicing the moves. Same thing with skateboarding. When I first discovered women, girls back then, right? Last week, actually. When I was 9 or 10, I went to the beach, and this 16-year-old girl had a crush on me, and she was like a woman because she was 16. She was, very developed. And at the beach, I remember she was swimming with me, and she held me, and my elbow touched her boob.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my God! And the feeling, I remember it because it put such a big imprint on you, right? The feeling of my elbow touching a 16-year-old girl's boob was like I had dopamine coming out of my ears, right?
Okay, so let's...
And so, I mean...
No,
okay,
I want to take those two examples, and I want to dissect them. All right, right. So breakdancing...
Yes.
That falls into hedonic and achievement.
Because the body.
You really enjoy it.
Your body, right.
It's technical. You needed to learn a skill. So you're using your brain and your body to a pretty high capacity in order to do it. And it's fun. So you're kicking in with the hedonics.
And it produces flow.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And then, like going to the beach, that's contentment, and then
Sure.
you toss in a boob and you got hedonics in
Yeah.
there too. So you got 2 of the 3. And so if you're looking at your life and you're, Amanda's excited about our conversation right now.
You know me, Amanda. What's up?
No, but this is real life,
It's
right?
real life, absolutely.
It's real life.
Right.
You can't discount the way that your bodies work, the way that you interact with other people.
Here's the other thing. Nothing slices faster than humor. And humor, I'm not saying that I'm funny, but if you are laughing.
You're kind of funny sometimes.
Humor is actually hedonic. Like humor elevates mood. It shoots dopamine. It's a feeling. It's a state that I think produces joy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's recap. Let's answer some questions. All right.
So basically, we're talking about flourishing.
Under positive psychology.
Under positive psychology from a coaching perspective.
Yes.
You have a client in front of you, they're miserable. You want to lead them to a place of meaning. You want to lead them to a place of experiential joy, of enjoying their life, contentment, blah, blah, blah. How do you get there?
3 pistons.
3 pillars.
I like pistons because I'm a man. No, I like pistons because I like to actually see them 3 pumping for the engine to move forward. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like I like that because the pillars are stationary, which are great. I get that, like kind of table, the legs of a table. But when I see like pistons or plates, I'm like, okay, I need to in my life make sure these are moving, so then I, as a whole person, move forward.
I'm enjoying this.
Take it or leave it.
I am enjoying this podcast so much today.
Okay.
So our 3 pistons are...
Yeah. I convinced her. Pistons over pillars. Okay, they are what?
We have achievement.
Achievement.
Which is mental and physical.
Right.
At least 80%.
Yes, guys,
Yep.
don't forget the physical piece.
Yep.
Because achievement, we always think, everything in between our ears and logical and
Totally.
raises and corner offices.
No,
Right.
it's so much more. Then there's
Right.
contentment.
Contentment.
Yep. Which is the techniques to employ contentment are mindfulness and gratitude and awareness.
Yes. Being super present.
Yep.
This is why people meditate, to get there. Seeking nectar, producing joy out of things that you have, not what you want that's coming in the future, but what you have right now in the moment.
Totally.
And even if what you have right now, here's the beauty of this. If you can get to a place where if you don't have much right now, but you're able to produce a lot of contentment or joy with the little that you have, imagine if you have that tool, when you actually build your empire or whatever you want, how much joy that's going, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, well, I think that you brought up a really good point that I want to close with is that you don't need to have a lot of money in order to experience these 3 things.
Yeah.
If we're talking about using your brain, anyone can use your brain. Go to the library, take out a book, learn something new, Then we have physical, do push-ups, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Contentment. Sit around, look at the sky. The sky is free. You can always enjoy a sunset. That's contentment. And then we have hedonic, which is pleasure and fun.
Hedonic, boobs, breakdancing, motorcycle rides, whatever that looks like for you guys.
This is a window into John Kim's mind, everyone.
I am who I am. So guys, think about your life, and if you feel like you're a little stuck, maybe visit these 3 pistons or pillars, and look at your life and see if you're actually if you're executing on these.
Absolutely. And if you need some help and support, check out our awesome coaches at JRNI.co.
How do you spell journey?
JRNI.
Yes. All right, guys. Be well. Talk to you soon.
Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Catalyst Life Coaching Podcast, brought to you by JRNI. If you'd like to learn more about what you've heard on today's show, visit JRNI.co. That's JRNI.co. And request more information about the Catalyst Life Coaching Intensive, or just keep in touch.